Hey friends! In today's beginner-friendly and kid-friendly tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to use your watercolor supplies, actually how to use my brand new watercolor set to make tree ornaments. Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Shayda Campbell, and yeah, we're going to use my brand new Shayda branded watercolor set, a set with my name on it, where I've chosen all the colors, and we are going to do these really sweet little tree ornaments. They also make great Christmas cards. You can make a card that is a tree ornament. And I'm just gonna hang out, and we're going to go slow and kind of have like a friendly afternoon painting session. It's snowing right now, and I've lit some candles, so you get the vibe. It's like a little winter wonderland in here, and we're gonna have a little bit of fun. And I'll tell you a little bit about this brand new set of paints that I'm so excited about. But first, let me tell you what supplies we're working with. So that's what the set looks like. And then I've got mine opened up right here. I unboxed it in last week's video if you're interested in seeing that. And I was kind of talking about how I chose all the colors, and there's so many great natural greens, lots of magentas, you know, all my favorites. And so we are using a watercolor set. That's the main thing. And then, okay, maybe the main thing is the 300-pound watercolor paper. And I know someone's gonna say, oh, you mean 300 GSM. No, I mean like 600 GSM. This is a very thick, very hefty paper, which you can see there. And it does not bend or buckle or warp. And just that thickness makes it really nice for creating the ornaments. And then I've got 2 glasses of clean water, paper towel for blotting my brush. I've got all my paint brushes here, but we'll probably use a small round brush for this. And then we're going to use a pencil and eraser and a fine liner. Something like a Meloto black liner is waterproof, and the ink is archival quality. So it's great for mixing with wet media, and it'll last a long time. And then I have this drawer that I brought down from my studio with a lip gloss in it. And this is just everything you would need to put a grommet in your ornament. And that's what really takes it from, oh, this is just something that's paper to something that's like really fancy. So to set the grommet, you will need a grommet set, and you can purchase this on Amazon, and it's about 20 bucks. And I bought brass grommets, and I think they're about well, they're less than a centimeter, I know that. And I'll try to link the exact set in the description. And then I found it just easier to use a paper punch rather than the grommet punch that it comes with. And then you'll need scissors and a little length of velvet ribbon, or whatever ribbon you like. So grab that cup of tea and let's get started. We're going to begin in pencil. I've got my eraser here. Okay, and I did a little Santa on Instagram, so I thought it would be fun to show you guys that here, and we'll do 2 today. So for Santa, I like to start with his mustache and do the curly Q like that. And then we'll make his mustache kind of furry below. And then he's got a big fluffy beard. We're kind of doing this cloud-like, very poofy area. Even his mustache could be even bigger. And the nice thing is you're working in pencil, so you can work out all the shapes, get it looking right. And then we can move up from Santa's mustache, and we're going to draw in his hat with the big poofy palm on the end. And then there's we'll put in that brim of the hat, a little curly Q line there, and then 2 eyes right above the top of the mustache. And then you can draw some little rosy cheeks in there, a little semicircle for Santa's mouth. If Santa looks a little weird right now, don't worry, because we're doing it all in pencil first, and then we're gonna work it out when we go over it in pen, and even further, so work it out with paint. So there's Santa. Looks a little crazy. We'll get it right. Before we draw the next one, let's go over Santa in pen so you can really see what my design looks like. So I'm gonna go over his beard. Mustache, I guess I should say. And I am using a 1mm Mulatto black liner. These are my favorite pens. So I'm using one that's quite thick or large nib size. That'll just really stand up nicely to the watercolor paint that we're going to add here. Around the face, you really just need like some little lines. Make it look like, you know, that's his hair or whatever. And there's his cute little hat. I should have maybe placed it the other way on the paper to give myself more room. Before, when I was making these, I was putting two side by side. So that just gives you an idea of the scale, the size, because this is a 5x7 card. So we'll give that, can't forget his mouth, we'll give that a second to dry, and then we're going to erase all the pencil. And I'll show you how to draw the next one, which is a Nutcracker. So let's put this like this, and we're going to keep it, make sure it's doesn't get too large. But the Nutcracker, you're going to start with kind of his base. So give yourself a little rectangle here, and then you can do a line to indicate that there are in fact two legs. And then he can just have two kind of rounded squares for feet. And then he can have a little base that he sits on, which you can make sort of any shape. I kind of do a rounded thingamabob. And then we're going to give him his little jacket comes down. He's got a belt here. So it's all kind of rectangles. Like this is slightly indented. And then he's got, you know, his little belt. That goes up from there. There's going to be his beard, his fluffy beard that comes down. And then he's going to have two arms out to the sides here. And those arms have a cuff at the bottom, making them kind of like so. And then like a really shallow circle, or also known as an oval. And there we go. And then he can have kind of a shoulder pad up here. And then of course, you put two rectangles there, and that will be his teeth. So a number of semicircles like that. And I'm just sketching this really sort of messy, and I find that that actually works best for me to come up with a design that doesn't look too stiff. And then his head is up here, obviously. And those top teeth are on the head, so we don't want to forget that. So a shallow circle is best. And then he can have his little cap. And obviously he's going to have some hair. We'll put some hair in there. Cute little hat. Maybe it has a little braiding or something across there. And then his nose is just a rectangle. His eyes, we will do two eyebrows first, and then two little circles. So he kind of looks a little bit like Santa, just keeping things similar, like doing a rosy cheek and a simple black dot for the eye can help these two crafts rather, look like they go together, which I love. So let's grab a pen. I've got all my pens here, but I can never find the exact one I want. I did use a 1mm. I felt like the nib was just a bit frayed, so I'm just looking for a fresh nib. Okay, let's start here with his cuffs and his round hands. There we go. And then we're gonna put in his arms. I felt like that could be over farther. You can always kind of double up your line if you need to. That's how I fix my mistakes. Always have, always will. The belt goes in there, and we can kind of do a double line along his body where his arms meet the body, or a single line will be fine for that. Does that make sense? Like, you don't have to have two lines. You could just have one line, because the arms can definitely sit right against the body. Just to make it less detailed, I think is kind of nice. You don't want to feel like this is getting to some place where there's like a crazy amount of detail. For the teeth, again, it is two rectangles, and then each rectangle has the three semicircles for teeth. That's his beard there. And then his hat, we're gonna do a braid across the hat. So I'm just doing these like backwards threes. The brim of the hat. I'm gonna put in his 2 dots for eyes, rectangle for the nose, eyebrows, and his mustache, which the mustache, the rosy cheeks, all of that is going to help him look similar to Santa, which will make them look like they go together, which I think is kind of nice. And he's got his hair here, which I'm just doing some scraggly lines, and I think that works just fine. We'll round out the bottom of his face there, and that's it. Our sweet little Nutcracker is looking good. So Santa, where does Santa go? I dropped him. Let's erase all of the pencil on these guys, and then we are ready to paint. Okay, got rid of all my pencil marks. I grabbed a number 6 round brush, and let's just throw some paint on here. Now with a really thick watercolor paper, what you may notice is that when you erase, some of the pen is going to come up because some of the paper is coming up with that eraser. So we can always add a little more pen in later. What I'm gonna do is scrub at these cakes of paint. I've got a really cool red here. It's a color called Rose Madder Hue. I love mixing with magentas to get my colors, and this rose is a beautiful red that will mix very beautifully with your blues and yellows. So I am just mixing up this dark red. It's this Rose Madder Hue. I put a little bit of magenta in there, and then I'm also gonna grab a little bit of Van Dyke Brown because I just love the way that a brown will make a red look really, really rich. So you can see me wetting each cake of paint, scrubbing at it just lightly. The color comes up, the pigment comes up off of the palette really beautifully. It's not one of those super dry palettes that you really have to work. So we've got that beautiful red, and we are just going to give this guy some color. The nice thing about this is you've basically created like a little coloring book image now, and all you have to do is fill it in. And another nice thing, there's just so many nice things, is that I think you can be a bit messy with it, and that's what looks good. You want it to have that kind of hand-drawn, sketchy look, so leaving a little negative space and just not being too precious when you fill in is key. I always love when, you know, kind of the easy method is what is going to look best. That's just sort of the magic. And right here, what we're doing is just this really quick, simple fill in where we're just not being too precious, and we're leaving some white, we're leaving some highlights, and that's what is going to look best. So there we go. We're going to make his whole jacket red, and then you can just see I'm just leaving some white areas, and all the light or white or negative space that I leave will be on the right, as if all the light is hitting our little Nutcracker from the right hand side. Okay, you look cute, sir, and you can have a red base to stand on. The nice thing about these ornaments is that you can keep your colors pretty simple. Okay, there we go. See, we don't have to fill that base in so perfectly. And then he will have some black boots. So there's a great lamp black in here. So let's mix up a little bit of that lamp black. I'm just grabbing a bit of water, scrub at the cake of paint, and there you go. Oh, I forgot to mark the top of his boots in pen. That's okay, we'll just make it up now. There's the top of your boot. And then I really don't want that black to mix with the red, so I'm just gonna steer clear. And I'm also gonna leave a little negative space at the top of the boot so that there's a bit of detail. The negative space when you're working with watercolors, the little bits that you leave white, that is how you create detail. You can make lines by simply not painting somewhere. So there we go. So you can kind of see where the foot is stopping and where the leg begins, blah, 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 where the foot and leg You know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. Okay, and then let's make his hat black as well. And we're just gonna fill this all in, but still in like a messy, fun, casual, leave a bit of negative space kind of way. There we go. And we'll make the brim black as well. And then I'm gonna make that braiding across the brim kind of like a gold. So we'll mix up sort of a dark yellow brown color. He'll have a black belt. There we go. Kind of want that to be a bit lighter so we can see the detail on it. So what I'm doing is just lifting up the color. I put the black down and then I clean my brush, and then with a clean brush I just went back in and lifted up a bit of the color. So it's still black, but it's just not as dark. And then we also want some black on that moustache. We'll fill that in. There we go. He's looking pretty cute. I definitely want to do something where he has white. So, you know, his cuffs, his pants, those are all white areas, but I don't want to just leave it white. So let's mix up a sort of cream. So with a clean brush, scrubbing at that white cake of paint. And then I am just going to grab like a hint of Payne's Gray and mix that in. I love Payne's Gray, great color for mixing. And maybe even just a hint of that red as well. And that gives us this really nice warm gray, a Shayda classic. And then we will just add a little bit of that warm gray across the base of his coat, on the left side of his legs, all across his cuffs there. And then of course his hair is white, so we'll put a little bit in his hair. And same with his beard. Just a few streaks, a little dry brushing is a good idea at this point. And you can go outside of the lines as well. No shame in that. And then we're going to need a little bit of that gold, as I mentioned. So let's take, let's do like a raw sienna here. And we'll pick that up. And then we are going to mix that with Van Dyke Brown and get this kind of warm goldy brown color. If it doesn't feel light and bright enough, you could mix in a little bit of white as well. Then I think that went too creamy. So I'm gonna put some more like my yellowy color in. Okay, so what was I gonna do again? Oh yeah, the shoulder pads are going to be gold. Sketchy, messy, leave that negative space. The braid is going to be gold. Uh-oh, that hat was not dry. So you can see I've got kind of a oh, I just did it again. Well, that's okay because that's black, so that will be easy to go over. We'll just let it dry. We're just not gonna freak out about it. We're gonna let it dry, and then we'll just go over it with a nice dark black. A little wet on dry, fix everything right up. And then the final color we need is just some sort of skin tone for his face and hands. I have a color in the set called Peach Pink. I'm going to bring that over to the palette so you can really see it. And then I'm just gonna mix in a little bit of white as well. And even sometimes a little bit of a yellowy color can help it not be like super peachy, you know. There we go. And then for the hands, like a little, go around in a circle and just leave it. It does not have to be perfect. And then we can go right across his face as well. I probably need to mix a little more water in there. And yes, you lose some of that detail because you're going right over top. And these paints are quite heavily pigmented, but we can go back in with the pen later. And another thing is you could just be painting on the pencil sketch and then put the watercolor in at the end. There's no like wrong way to get to the end point. He's looking pretty cute. The final thing is just going to be a bit of a lighter red or pink. I guess that's called pink on his gums here. There we go. So I just used the red that we had mixed up for his jacket, and I just put a little bit of that peachy pink in it, a little bit of white. And there we go. He's quite a cool fellow. Even if I did mess up his hat, I think he looks pretty good. Let's do Santa, and Santa I think is even easier than Mr. Nutcracker. And let me tell you a little bit about these paints. So, oh gosh, Chris and I started the channel back in 2015. Chris came on board, that's my husband, in end of 2017. And we started to really turn it into a business at that point. And when, it started doing well around 2018, 2019. And then when COVID hit, we were putting out so many videos and people were at home and they were, painting and crafting. And we would notice that I would recommend a brand, like, go get this paint set, it's my favorite. And I would put an Amazon link, and then a few weeks later, the Amazon link wouldn't work anymore because we had actually sold out the art supplies. And we were like, oh, crazy, is that coming from us? Like, are we the ones doing that? And we just couldn't believe, like, okay, we're selling out these art supplies, and I don't make that much money from those links. It's like a less than 1% type of thing, but I just want to recommend the products that I like, and you guys can find them and use them as well. Oops, I put way too much gray in there for Santa's beard. Let's put some more white in there. And the art companies, if I was selling out makeup or fitness supplies, that would be like, cha-ching. These art companies, like, they don't care and they don't have a budget. So we thought, like, maybe it's time to make my own paint set. And we sort of started looking into that and looked at what that would look like. And just after doing some research and thinking about it, we kind of came to the conclusion, or pretty quickly came to the conclusion, that it was going to be just really difficult to control the quality. If we were going to do whitelisting, it meant going to China, which could be very exciting. But then we would, buy these paints, and we would, have to learn a lot about paint, which I would be open to doing. But it just felt like, are we going to know for sure that the quality is there? And then the real issue was, if we go and we whitelist these paints and we bring home all this stock from China, like, then we have to ship it. And it's like the cost of shipping from Canada, especially, not even from the US, because I'm in Canada, is so prohibitive. And so it just meant that, like, we have a large audience in India. We would never be able to ship there. And Australia is like, absolutely not. It would cost me more than the set of paints just to ship one. And so we quickly realized, like, the only way we're really going to do this is if a large art brand approaches us and wants to partner. And so that was 5 years ago that we kind of had this discussion and went through all this research and came to this conclusion. And then last year, I was approached by the company like Dixon, Daler Rowney. They make Arches paper, Strathmore. They make so many art brands, and they make these wonderful aquafine sets that I was familiar with and really, used and trusted. And so it was like, oh, finally, it was such a great moment because we could finally partner and build a set of high quality or trusted, known quality, and it will be available worldwide. It just feels really good to know that this is going to be on Amazon, in Europe, in Canada. It just launched in Canada. So Canadians, you can now shop it on Amazon. I'll put the link. We sold out last week on Amazon US, but they have restocked. So go buy it if you want it before it sells out again. And then it'll be coming to Europe. Because I'm working with this large art company, even if you go into your local art store, you could say, hey, I would really like to see the Shayda Campbell set in here. Do this. And they would be able to see it in their wholesale catalog. So even if they were like, what? It will be in their catalog, and they could order it. So that is really what I've dreamed of all these years, being able to have the distribution power that a large art company brings. And for an artist, this is such a big deal. These art companies, they don't have big budgets like some other influencers. And there was actually this kind of a funny story. There was an art company a long time ago that asked me so many times to do work for them, and every time they would not have any budget. And then the final time we like went through all these talks, and then I was like, okay, this is what it's gonna cost. And they were like, again, oh no, we don't have a budget. And then they are a company that makes a certain pen, and then that pen was removed from the channel forever, because you just shouldn't ask people to work for free. So yes, so if you are an OG fan, you will maybe remember when I used a different brand, but it's just so important for artists and anyone who's doing work to be paid fairly for their work. So, and then, you know, the end of that story is I found a pen that I actually do like better, that took over the channel. And Dixon Ticonderoga, who I'm working with now, you know, they've just been so wonderful and supportive. So that's what I meant about, that's kind of like an artist's dream that doesn't just come along every day. And they've just been so lovely and worked with me to put the art on the set, something that represented me. And it's just been a very feel-good, a feel-good story, a feel-good journey around here. So, and reading all your comments last week, I just really appreciate all the love and support. And I know a lot of you have been here since those early days, and it's just been amazing to take this journey together. Yeah, I just don't take it for granted, that's for sure. So what I'm doing now is just like a little hint of wet on dry. I just put a little bit more brown in the red, and I did some very messy splotches basically. And then let's fix up his hat. Let's fix up this poor guy's hat. It's dry now, so we have the precision of working wet on dry. There we go. That's looking good. And I just think that all he really needs, the only other thing, is just a little hint of a pink rosy cheek. There we go. And it'll be kind of the same idea with Santa. Oh, he looks so cute. Let's put a little bit more brown into the red here, and we will do a little bit of a there on the base. Yeah, that looks cute. Okay, Santa, your turn. Has this even had enough time to dry? Let's get our rose and our brown, and we get that really dark, rich red. And there we go. Again, I'm just saying, yes, the light is coming from the right. So I'm gonna make everything on the left a little darker. Remember, as the artist, you get to make that choice. That's like a made up thing. And then you get a rosy cheek here, Santa. Rosy cheeks for Santa. And this is just a semicircle because of part of his cheek is obscured by his giant mustache. And there we go, guys. These look so cute. I'm so pleased with these, and I think you get to really see the quality of the paints as well. It's such a vibrant pigment, and especially getting those vibrant reds, if you work with paints a lot, you know, isn't always easy. So what we're going to do is let them dry, and then I'm going to cut them out. You want some nice sharp scissors for this. Let them dry, cut them out, and we'll meet back here in just one moment. Okay, so I cut these guys out. They look really cute. And you can see what I've done here is just kept a nice thick border. So you're really not doing any fine cuts. You just give them a nice amount of negative space all the way around. And then we are going to use grommets to really amp them up a little bit and make them not just appear like some paper craft. This gives them that little fancy edge that they sort of need. So I've put a cutting mat here. And then I've got my little grommet set. Remember, I'm going to link that in the description. It'll come with this piece, which you need. That's what you're going to hammer onto. Oh yeah, you need a hammer as well. I'm really bad at doing supply lists. It's always at least two things that I couldn't think of at the start. And the grommet is 2 pieces. It's 1 large piece and 1 small piece. So there's the large, there's the small. And then what we're going to do is we are going to punch a hole where you want the grommet to sit, and I tend to put them just right near the top. So there's the Nutcracker. And then what we'll do is flip him over. You're going to put you're gonna put, this is so finicky, the larger piece of grommet onto this little stand thingy. Put that over top, it'll just fit right on there. Take the smaller piece and sandwich it. And then the set will come with this as well. You've got a piece here that acts as like the holder, and that's what you hammer into. Where's my hammer? It's not here. So I'm gonna take apart the sandwich, get the hammer, and pretend to hammer it on camera. Now I have a hammer. So we're going to make sure the sandwich still looks good. It's a bit finicky, but it's not hard to do. And then take it off, and there you go. And I think it's quite obvious how that really just makes it into something that looks so much more finished, I guess. It gives it, it elevates it. It elevates it, yeah. The only thing we need to do now is put a little bit of ribbon on this guy, and then I do want to go over parts of his face with the fine liner again, just because the watercolor kind of washed out his eyes. But we'll do the little same thing for Santa here. Okay, that was fun. These would obviously make beautiful little gift tags as well. And actually you can do very, very simple watercolor designs, and you add that brass grommet and it really elevates it. Often I'll just cut little pieces of little watercolor rectangles of scrap paper, and I just do a little green leaf with red berries, and then I add that brass grommet. And then, you know, I try to keep them from year to year. I'm like, give me those gift tags back. And it's very festive. There we go, Santa, you looking good. And then Nutcracker needs some amping up here where, you know, where he got washed out, I did a set of these in preparation for this video. And I did ones where I did the pencil, then the watercolor, then the pen. That doesn't allow me to show you the design as clearly in a YouTube video, but I do think maybe that's my preferred method. You know, there's no, as I said, no right or wrong way. Just do what works for you. And I think I was as successful doing it both ways, but probably I found it more just better to do pencil and then add the paint, and then you get to put the black pen on very last, and you fix any little mistakes, and everything just goes great. I'm going to add some detail to his belt with the pen. Make it look like a belt there. And then it wouldn't be crazy to even put like some designs on his coat with a white gel pen or something, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna call that done. You put the ribbon through there. I mean, this is like heirloom quality gift tags here. And I'm so pleased with these. Sully is just at this age, there's always a craft going on somewhere in the house, and he finds this where, you know, he'll find a little felted item or he'll find a gift tag, and he's like, Mama made this for me? I'm like, yeah, I did, but, and then I'm like, no, sorry, that's for work. Just kidding, they're all for him. Okay, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. The sun is actually just peeking out right now. The snow has stopped. The candles are still lit. It's still cozy AF in here. And I have 2 gift tags or 2 tree ornaments, and I hope you do as well. And I hope you enjoyed seeing the watercolor set and the quality of the paints and pigments. And yeah, it'll be showing up in many a video. But I also, you know, have other watercolors that I've used and loved over the years. And if that's what you're using, great. You know, there's no pressure ever here to have a certain supply. I used to get like mean comments because I used supplies that were too cheap, but I always said the supplies don't make the artist, and when we're doing these joyful crafts, you don't need to have anything super expensive, so use the supplies that you have. And remember, you deserve to have beauty in your life, no matter how your life looks this Christmas, no matter how messy your house, no matter your budget for holiday decor. decor, you deserve to take a moment, make something pretty and enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Head to Patreon this week because there is a brand new bonus video waiting for you over there. And actually not waiting, it comes out on Sunday. And I will see you soon with a new tutorial.